Today we're going to be talking paid search, paid social with a Bathmat and towels brand. This is a small business that started life a couple of years ago and they're trying to grow. But the problem I'm seeing is they're spreading themselves far too thin. This is going to be a really interesting conversation. Let's get into it. Welcome to Grow with Evergreen, the podcast designed to help you grow your business by providing practical insights into all things paid media, creative and digital strategy. Every episode, we help home, garden and lifestyle brands with their growth challenges by delving into their business, dissecting what they're doing and defining a digital growth strategy they can take and deploy into their business. Let's get into it. Right, welcome back, beautiful people. I hope you're all doing well. We're going to be talking about bath mats and towels today.
Oh, lovely.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. We've got a brand that's called Misona. Which is
Very nice.
A lovely name.
Yeah.
Misona.co.uk. It's a brand that's small, been going a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
They do have big aspirations though. Speaking to Emma, who we will be bringing on shortly, she said, we have big dreams. We want to be a fully fledged homeware brand. And they've just chosen their first couple of categories and they're dipping their toe in the proverbial bath water. Hey,
and
there you
then
go.
out of the water and onto the bath mat.
That's exactly that. There you go. See, we're here all day. Right, but they're only doing a few £1,000s. This is really small. They're doing a few £1,000s online a month, and they're wanting to grow, and they are doing all the classics. They're guilty of doing all the regular things. They're doing a bit of search. They're doing a bit of paid search. They're doing a bit of paid social, a little bit of creative, and a bit of this and a bit of that, and a bit of the other.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem. I think that is the problem. I think they are spreading themselves far too thin with what they're doing. And we will be coming on to what that looks like soon enough. But before we do that, Darren, you and I, we are recording this right now. And
Come fly with me. Let's
a little bit. Little bit.
Yeah,
I was going to say, we should share with what we're up to.
Copyright strike.
Yeah, done. But because we're getting on a plane, and we're going to see one of our new clients. So we are working. We're busy onboarding. When we're not recording podcasts, we're busy onboarding several new clients at the moment. Yeah. And this month, that requires us to get on a plane.
It does.
And go to where are we off to? Are we going to some
going...
sunny climes, some exotic destination?
Well, I'm sure it does get fairly sunny all the way up in Glasgow.
Glasgow! We love Glasgow. I've never been.
I've been once.
I've never been. Do you know, I've never been. I'm 41 years old. I've never stepped foot over the Scottish border.
Wow.
I know. Missing out.
Well, you're about to experience it.
It's a whole new world.
Yeah, we can try some haggis.
I'm up for a bit of that. Yeah, why not? But
you see, I said it hoping that you were going to say no.
Well, yeah, because if I try
now
haggis,
I feel like I'm in it.
You're trying haggis. Well, we are. To be fair, we're meeting our new client. Who we can give a shout. They're called Carbeth Plants.
Yes.
They run they've got a garden centre and then they've got a gardening brand, ecommerce, plants, veggies. I'm definitely going to be buying a whole bunch of stuff, bringing it back with me. And yeah, they lovely guys, and we're going all the way up to meet them. And they have, bless them, they've said this because we have said we want to come up, see where where it all happens.
Film
we always like to
physically
doing
a brand film for them.
Doing a brand film. We're going to do all the research, do a bit of a fact finding mission, as we always do when we take on a new client. And as part of that, they said, oh, we've come up, we'll take you out for a meal. So we're going to go out. We're going to go out. So maybe haggis will be on the menu.
Maybe.
I mean, that is very much a Scottish stereotype that you've gone straight for.
Oh yeah, of course.
But we'll go with it.
Maybe we could have some iron brew as well. It's the national drink.
Is it?
It's the Scottish national drink,
no,
iron brew.
Not.
Genuinely. Or as it's technically spelt, urn brew.
Oh, there you go. This episode has not started how I envisaged.
No.
But that's interesting. But
I've never tried that, actually.
So we're going up next week. It is next week. Next week we're going up to just over a week away. But we're going up to Scotland. Yeah. And then no sooner are we going to be back. Yeah. We're then going all the way down south.
Yep.
To again on board another new client, Perrywood Garden Centres, who are down in my old stomping ground of Essex.
Plants at the top of the country and plants at the bottom.
It's all about the plants. Yeah. It's all about the plants. So that's going to be good fun. So we're going to be out and about.
Yeah, we're putting down roots. All over the country.
There you go. Those I'm trying to think of another one now. Hold on. reaping the rewards,
Nice.
having sown the seeds.
We're cultivating our craft all over the land.
Yeah, with our clients. Exactly. Oh, this is just too good. But yeah, so we're going to be doing that. And what we're going to do is we're going to, I think we're planning to turn those 2 trips into an uncut episode, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Because it's such a lovely narrative. We're up north and we're down south.
I have to film us getting on a plane.
Oh, yeah.
We cannot get on a plane and not have a camera on.
Exactly. So there you go. So if you watch Uncut, check that out. By the time this comes from,
I would imagine
know.
Potentially.
Maybe.
Although, no, actually, I'm thinking
quite far ahead.
We will have done it by the time this comes out.
Oh, yeah.
But the episode of Uncut won't be out.
We're just too efficient.
Yeah.
We are weeks ahead on our pod. We're weeks ahead on Uncut.
You're going to have to wait a little bit for it, but we promise
but the best things are worth waiting for.
They are.
So, but yeah, that's going to be good fun. So we're going to have a little bit of a jolly around the country, and we'll document the whole thing, and we'll show you what we get up to and how we onboard new clients and how we create brand films and all sorts of loveliness. So that is what we're going to be doing. But right now we are creating podcasts.
We are.
And we've been doing it all day. And this is the last one of the day. Hence we're a little bit...
Yeah, number 4.
We're a little bit fidgety, or at least I am. But yes, so Emma is our guest today. And we are going to be talking... We're not talking plants. We're not talking garden centres. We're not talking haggis on this episode. No more haggis, Darren. No more haggis. We're going to be talking... we're going to be talking bath mats and towels, because Emma's this business Emma's I think fairly recently joined the business, and they it's called Misona, and they want to be a homeware brand. They're doing their revenue. They're doing 6, 7, 8 grand a month. So really small numbers, but they want to kick on. And you've got the application.
Yes,
do you want to read it back to us and
yeah.
just give us a little flavour? Set the scene. Come on, set the scene for us.
So she's sent us her, as we always do. We always ask people to send in their 3 marketing challenges, and then if there's 3 questions that they'd like to ask us as well. So going into her first marketing challenge, she wants to increase the reach of their brand through paid social. Something I always like to hear, because I have a lot to do with paid social.
Yep. There you go.
She wants to increase conversions.
I was going to do a Scottish accent. Don't do that. Don't do that. God, blimey.
Remove half of our viewers.
But she can't get that conversion rate above 2%, can she?
No, she can't.
Do it for the love of money. How many of you can relate to that?
And then the last one of her marketing challenges, she wants to become a truly international brand.
Can we nail the home patch first, please?
Yeah, I think
let's not run before we can walk.
No, absolutely.
Aim big by all means, but let's get the UK firing first, I feel.
And I think some of the other issues that they're having is they're not quite seeing the return on investment that they'd like from their Meta ads.
Yep.
And they're wondering if you can give them a couple of optimizations.
I will try, my boy. I will try.
They also want some effective strategies for increasing conversion rates, as many of us do.
Don't we all?
And they want to improve performance of their creative assets to make them more engaging and relevant to their target audience.
There you go then. That's a bit of you, that.
There
you go.
I might have a bit to say on this.
Lovely. And then in 1 year, where do they want the business to be?
In 1 year, they want to... they're aiming to significantly increase their national and international presence.
All in the next 12 months.
Yeah. It's a big ask.
That's going some. Yep. And then what about any idea when it's finished? In the distant future.
They want to be 10 times bigger than they currently are. They want to be an internationally recognized brand with a strong presence in multiple markets worldwide.
Blimey.
That's some big ambitions.
That is indeed. Well, let's see if we can help them.
But also, I will say, slightly vague.
Very. Yeah, we like to be specific.
Yeah,
we like to so we're going to have to do a bit of tough love, I think, on this one a little bit maybe. Because Emma says she goes on to say that they're just not seeing the ROI, so that's the return on investment from their Meta campaign, their Meta ad campaigns, and so what can we do to help make these guys make more money, get this thing firing? And I think this feels I think this to me feels like a business that is getting started, it's getting going, and they're trying to do a bit of everything. I mean, the list of we asked what marketing platforms. There's Google ads, there's Facebook ads, there's Instagram, there's email, there's SEO, there's content marketing. It's like, okay, that's a lot. And the marketing spend, so she's noted down, is only $1,300 a month. And I see this a lot. You know, in terms of, you know, businesses, even though often, you know, doing first few 100,000, you know, a million, but they'll often go, well, we need to be doing a bit of everything. We need to just be on all the platforms. We need to be spending money everywhere. And it's the classic, we'll see what works. And then once it works, we'll scale it.
You know,
doesn't work like that.
You know what I'd love to know is how many campaigns they're running on Meta. Yeah. Because with that budget, if they're running, say, like 10,
if they're running, I mean, even one, it's gonna be interesting. So, let's not build anticipation anymore. Let's bring her on. Let's bring her on and see what's what. She can fill in the blanks. Emma, my dear, are you there?
Yes. Hello. Hi. How are you?
Good stuff. Lovely to have you on the Grow with Evergreen podcast. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
There you go. Do you want to just give us a little 30-second whistle stop? So you, Misona, bit of background. Go for it. Over to you.
Yes, absolutely. I am Emma. I take care of marketing for Misona. We are a small company making home essentials, in particular bathmats and towels that are high quality and have sustainability at their core. We use quality materials like 100% organic cotton and bamboo fiber in our towels. And innovation is also at the core of our products with innovative products like our Dynamite Stone Bath Mat, which is a bath mat made of stone that is ultra absorbent, hypoallergenic, and saves water, energy, and is overall good for you, for the planet. And that is what we do.
Love it. That was perfectly, very succinct. Beautiful. Yeah. Well done. Right. So I want to just dive straight into these challenges then, because this is a small business doing your first 2,000 online.
But hold on there.
Oh no!
I'm going to challenge you.
I've done it again.
Challenge you on this.
I've done it again.
Because
sorry,
you're
Emma.
Skip right over my favorite part again.
Yeah, slap wrist for Aaron.
It's time for a paid media mystery.
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
I do love it, but There we go.
I'll never let you forget.
I'm glad you're here, keeping tabs.
So it's time for a paid media mystery.
Yeah, Emma, and I don't know, Emma, because the first episode since we involved the guest has not come out yet. So, Emma, it's no pressure. It's you and me on this. Okay. We're a team. All right, it's you and me. We've got to try and get it right. So Darren's going to ask us the question.
Right. I'm going to present you a question, and of course, it's themed. So it's a bathroom and homeware question.
Oh, we like this. Yep, go for it. Come on.
And the question today is: what type of paid media ad drives the most sales for bathroom and homeware brands? And your answers to choose from are Google Shopping ads. Mm-hmm. So that's A, Google Shopping ads. B, Instagram story ads.
Okay.
C,
Pinterest promoted pins.
Okay.
Or D, YouTube pre-roll ads.
Emma, where are you going?
I'm going to say Google.
I also am going to say Google.
And you would both be right on the money.
Hey! That would be seriously worried if it wasn't. Yes, absolutely. That was, there you go. Boom, we're in.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Love that.
Customers searching for homeware and bathroom products tend to have high purchase intent, making these ads highly effective.
Because they're actively looking for these things. And the beautiful thing about shopping ads is you get, at the very top, you get the picture.
You do.
You get the price. Mm-hmm. And you get the name, the title of it. And best of all, you can click straight through and you're on the product page. And you can just add it.
There
Beautiful. It works. So, Emma, that leads us very nicely into the marketing budget that we're spending. How much, just paint a picture for us, how much of what we're doing in terms of how we're marketing this brand is going into Google versus Meta? What does that look like, the split?
Yes. So as far as Meta ads, those we have started just in January. So it's not something we've been doing for long, but so far we're putting in 800 to 900 pounds per month.
Yep.
While for Google Ads, that also varies between 300 and 800 per month. And then on top of that, because that is outsourced, there is also management fees that we pay on that. But
Is that
that's
is manager fees including that, or is that on? Or is manager
no,
fees on?
no, no, no. That's on top of that. So everything
Okay.
included, that would be around 1,500 per month.
Okay. Right. So you got about 800 of management. Is that sound about right? A few
Yeah,
hundred of
for both
management.
SEO and
Oh, they do all the SEO. Fine. Okay. Fine.
yes.
Fine. Okay. So, how many? Do you know within the Google Ads? Because I know you said you outsource it, but do you know
Mhm.
how many? Are you advertising all of your products on Google? What does that look
Yes, we
like?
are.
And
Yes.
how many different products do you actually have?
So we have four lines of products. I think it's about 90 SKUs in total.
And that's mainly different colorways, different sizes,
Yes,
things like
because
that.
also towels come. Each color comes in four different sizes. So yeah,
Sure.
but it's
So
four
we've
main
got,
products.
but the main products are, it's just run us through what the main
Yeah,
four
it is.
products.
It's two lines of towels, so 100% organic cotton and ultra soft bamboo fiber, and then
Yep.
two lines of bath mats. So our stone diatomite bath mat, which is our top selling product, and then we also have 100% organic cotton mats that match our towels.
Perfect. Okay, amazing. And all four of those are being advertised in Google, yeah?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, amazing. So, and do you know what sort of return you're getting with your Google? So you're putting
Yeah.
anywhere between 300, 800 in. What are you typically getting back out?
The ROAS also varies between 3 and 5 usually monthly.
Okay, fine. And what works and what doesn't work for a business? Does 3 work? Does it have to be 5? What's comfortable?
I mean, it's better if it's 5, of course. Honestly,
Of course,
it's
love that. Yeah.
it's closer to the higher end usually, and that's what we like to see, for
So it
sure.
begs the question: why are we not spending more? Because what you're spending, and I always think whenever someone says a budget of whatever, I always immediately sort of
Hmm.
spread that and think we'll average that out over a 30-day period for a month. So if it's 300, that's £10 a day. If it's 900, it's 25 to £30 a day. Which, in the grand scheme of things, across 3-4 product categories and circa
Yeah.
100 SKUs, that is very, very little visibility. So, what is there a reason you haven't spent more?
Again, this is something that I don't have much information on because it is something that is outsourced. But I do know that there has been conversations regarding an issue with underspend. So in certain months, the agency is also spending less than what we would like per
Right. And
month.
have you given them an ideal, have you worked out a budget to say this is what we need to be spending, we should be spending, or not?
No, it's something that we leave more in their hands. Yeah, it's more like
Fine.
a uppercut. Yeah, yeah, cap
And
for.
so there's no sort of upper limit. So, in terms of, okay, hold on. So, when it's underspending, do you know? Have they told you why? Is it because are they setting the thresholds too high that they just can't meet it? What is the reason for the underspend?
I am not exactly sure.
Because I would imagine, just from
Mhm.
experience, that if an account is underspending, if you've got a budget and if the agency is reporting back saying, look, we can't spend the budget, there'll be a couple of reasons for that. One might be that they've set the thresholds too high, so they've set the ROAS target as too high, or it'll probably be something to do with, it'll be the commercial, so it'll be either the ROAS or something like the CPA is just set too high, so the thresholds, and Google's basically just going, I'm not going to spend your money because I don't know, I'm not confident I can get you a return based on
Mhm.
the line in the sand that you are asking for, right? That's probably the
Mhm.
most common scenario of why an account would underspend. And to address that, what you need to do is you need to recognize that, and then for the most part, you're going to need to reduce those limits and actually go, okay, I can accept a lower ROAS, a lower CPA, whatever it needs to be, to basically kickstart the campaign to get going and start spending. Because
Mhm.
based on your level of spend, you're not going to be, I can guarantee without even seeing any of the data, there's no way you're going to be getting anything like the number of conversions you need into your account to have the algorithm kick in and do what it needs to do, which means your account is never going to work half as well as it could.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. What do you know what your average order value is?
Yes, that would be around £40.
Okay. And do you know how much it's costing you to acquire a customer?
How do I check that? I'm
So
not
that would
sure.
be if just from a Google Ads in isolation, you would look at that from a what you're putting in versus the number of customers you're getting out, and then you could calculate from there. So
Oh, yes. I that would be £10 then. Yes, I do have it in my
okay, so
report.
your CAC, so your customer
Yeah.
acquisition cost is but you think it's about £10.
Yep.
I would be surprised if that's true. If that's
Oh.
accurate, it might be. It's lower. I would be if your AOV was £40 and your CAC was 10, then
Hmm.
you would be spending a lot more. You would because there would be no reason why you wouldn't be spending a lot more on that.
Okay.
For me, and I appreciate you have an agency doing this, but I'm already seeing there's definitely some questions you should probably be asking
Okay.
your agency. And what you can do from here is write these things down, go to your
Sure.
agency, and that's the point. And say, can you just confirm what and why and how and get it, because you want to be asked if they're not forthcoming with this. You need to be proactively saying to them, well, hang about, because if we want to grow this business, these are the numbers we need to be all over.
Hmm.
Because do you know within your Google Ads, is it shopping? Is it Performance Max search? What are you doing?
Yes, it is a mix of shopping and performance max. Standard shopping
Okay.
and performance max. Yeah.
Okay. So again, these are things I appreciate you're not. So I just want to arm you with some questions to go and ask. So I would want to be
Okay.
seeing, if this was my business, I would want to be seeing the split. So how much of our budget and what's the return with Performance Max? How much of our budget and what's the return when it comes to shopping? I'd
Yeah.
want to be, so these are questions you can sort of note down or you can listen back to, but
Yeah.
I'd want to know that. I would also want to know what's the split between those? I'd want to know, are we pushing all products in both Performance Max and shopping? What's the crossover? So in terms of
Hmm.
is the overlap? Because basically, if you've got one competing against the other, depends on how you set up. It's very easy to avoid that, but it's very easy to not and to be driving the price up. So you want to understand that. And then what you're going to want to do is look at, the how visible you are, how many clicks, what your daily spend. Like this, there's so many Google metrics that
Hmm.
you would want to go through. That if I had access to your account, I would want to go through and just work out and just build a picture of what the ad account is actually doing. Because spending only a few £100s, so for example, if we're getting a 3 to 5 times return, and let's say you said between 3 and 500 on
Yeah.
average is what you're spending, 3 and 800. So let's take an average of that and say on average you spend £500 a month. If you're only getting a 3 to a 5 times return, then that means you can only expect revenues to be between 1,500 to 2.5 grand a month worth of
Mhm.
sales attributed to Google. So it's nowhere near enough. We're not going to grow if we only continue to generate 2, 3, 4,000 pounds worth of sales from Google. So we
Mhm.
need to understand the average order value. We need to understand the CAC, so the customer acquisition cost. We need to understand all of these metrics, even like the CPA, so that we can get a true understanding of how much it costs to buy a customer, how much they spend on average. Do you know the lifetime value of this business? Like in terms of a customer, do they repeat?
Not very much. That is also something that we've been trying to improve. We think that that also has to do with the nature of the product.
Yeah, I think
However,
it is. I mean, you're not
yeah,
buying bath mats every 5 minutes, are you? But
exactly.
that's where you've got to get those cross sales, and when they're buying the product, and as they
Mhm.
get that AOV up as much as you can. Yeah, and I think Google Ads is an absolute no-brainer for this in this business. This was my business. That is, I would be doing Google Ads for this, but you're going to have to get really smart about this and really understand the numbers. Have you yourself got any experience of Google Ads, or are you solely reliant on the agency to sort of tell you what's what?
Yeah, no, I do not have personal experience on this, and nobody else on the team really does.
Okay.
So that's why it's the agency that is.
So I mean, what I'd be doing if I were in your
Mhm.
shoes is I'd be going to the agency and I would be saying to them, forget just like, don't send me a generic report that just says, oh, you spent this, you got this back. Like, who cares? Like, I would actually be saying to them, I need you to tell me and upskill me on what's going on in this business and in terms of from a Google Ads, and just get them to explain it and break it down. And there's a great saying that if you don't understand something well enough, or what's the saying? as I said, it's a great saying, which I can't remember, but there's a great saying that if you can't explain it simply,
as
you don't
simply as possible, you don't understand it well enough.
Exactly that. There you
Albert
go.
Einstein.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes, which I couldn't remember for the life of me. But that sentiment is so true, and I think the art of being able to speak to whoever's running it for you and say, just explain what we're doing, and then use common sense. You don't need to be a Google Ads expert, but if you could say, well, look, I could, for every £1 I put in, what are we getting back out? And therefore, if as a business that works for me, well, why are we not putting more pounds in? And if they then say, well, it's because we can't because of this, there's a single word which will get to the bottom of most conundrums. Just keep saying why. So if you say, oh, because of this, why? Well, because we can't go because we've tried this, why? Just keep asking why, and you'll probably get to the root of some pretty good answers, because you're going to want to know what the opportunity is, what the size of the market is, what is working, what isn't, what products are selling, etc., etc. And all of that data is going to be in your Google Ads. You're on Shopify, right?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So between Shopify and Google Ads, you're going to be able to know all that, because the first thing I'd be doing is looking at driving economy of scale, because looking at that, you're arguably, and I appreciate you said that they're also doing a bit of SEO and a bit of this and a bit of that, but you're spending as much on management as you are on ads.
We are, yeah.
That makes no sense. Does it really? Because do you see what I mean? I wouldn't be doing that. I'd want to go about. I want to be spending, you should be spending more on your ads, and less on management. Do you know what they're doing when it comes to your SEO and your content? What are you actually getting?
Yes, they have a keyword strategy going on that is applied on our website, and they also take care of a blog that we have on our website, which is driving a big part of our traffic. And they just make sure that the website ranks well on Google, which it does, for the keywords that they chose.
Fine. But again, so you're gonna. There's so many things I would do if you've got. Do you know what Google Search Console is?
No, I do not.
Okay, so you need to. I say that every single episode, don't I? So Google Search Console is a free tool from Google, and it will tell you how people are finding your website. So your agency will know what it is. They'll probably be using it, or at least they should. But it will give you insights into how people are finding your website. And the reason I mention that is because, and my instincts is telling me that this will be the case. I would imagine your blog, don't be led by just the traffic, because if you're looking at Google Analytics and go, oh, we're getting lots of traffic, is it buying traffic? Is it actually all the blog traffic? Is it actually converting? Is there any buying intent behind that content?
More often than not, no. That is, the old issue that we have a healthy amount of traffic, but it is not converting.
That feeds into one of your things, right? Is you're getting lots of traffic, and this is where it's just so classic. I see it all the time. Is the reason your conversion will be so low and you can't increase it, which was one of your big challenges, is because I would imagine a lot of your content on your website is so far removed from there being any relevance to the product you're selling, and it's very easy. I could start a website tomorrow and get a bucket load of traffic to it. It's very easy to get traffic. You just create topics where you can rank, but if they're not relevant, and it's for me, I look at a blog and I always think the job of a blog is to reinforce your expertise on your core topic. And actually, you've got some absolutely, but there are some others where it's just so irrelevant. You've got, there's some from last year. So what type of bath mat is the most hygienic? Like that is bang on relevant. Yeah.
But then there's also our top performing article as well.
There you go. That's just one I found. I'm looking for all of them, of course, because it's so relevant, right? That makes all sense. And Google knows, this is a brand selling bath mats, and now you're talking about the topic that someone genuinely might ask: what is the best type to be the most hygienic? Blah 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 blah. So that is absolutely relevant. But then you've also got, what's the thinking behind all these other really random articles that you've got on here, like saving the oceans? What's that all about? What are indicator species?
Well, I think that, ocean sustainability, those are very much, relevant to us as a brand, maybe not as much to the products, but, we also do partner with a company to collect plastic from the oceans, or ocean-bound plastic for every order.
So what you should be doing, Emma, tell that story. that you've partnered with someone and this is what you're doing and this is the mission. 100%. Tell that, but shouldn't be writing content that has a tangible link to sustainability. It's way too generic.
Okay.
And it will crucially send completely the wrong messages to Google in terms of what you want to be famous for. You know, you need to look at this website as, what do I want this website to be famous for? Right. And it's, you need to be famous for bath mats, right? And bath towels and so on and so forth. So we're writing across so many topics. So yes, you'll be getting a bucket load of traffic but it's just so completely irrelevant to what you're doing, to what the mission you're actually on, which is trying to sell more bath mats. I see this a lot. I see, you've got articles on what causes wildfires and New Year's environmental resolutions. These are so far removed from what you should be talking about. You should write bath towels and bath mats on a on a whiteboard or whatever, and then mind map out every possible question that someone would have to do with a bath mat.
Or use ChatGPT.
Or all of the above, right? I'm so old school. I don't even ever think about it. I just get a whiteboard, get some pens.
Get a parchment out.
Literally get my quill and fill up. But I just love. But I'm too old school. But that's what I would do. That's what I would just go, right, let me think about every question that someone would ask. Let me talk to my customers. Let me speak to my customer service team. I would want to know what are the questions people ask around the topic, and that's what your content strategy should be about.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It will just because then what it will do is it will get you more. Google will be you'll be reinforcing to Google time and again. This is what we do, and this is who we do it for. And I think it ties into that common theme that I say time and time again, which is for an e-commerce business like this, it's what you do and who you do it for. Before we go any further, are you enjoying today's episode? If so, you'll love our other show, Tea Talks. They're short, informal chats where the evergreen experts and I share actionable nuggets on all things paid media, creative, and digital strategy that we use daily when growing our clients' businesses. And best of all, much like this podcast, it's completely free. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, see the link in the description. Now, let's get back to it, right? Okay. So what you do is bath mat and it's towels and so on. Who you do it for? It's those that are actively looking for those products and have questions around those products. So it's who you do it for and what you do it what you do and who you do it for.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that is from a content perspective. So I would have a big call because what you're going to be seeing is a lot of traffic, but it's so irrelevant. People land on your site with never in a million years are they interested in what you're selling. And so it's completely going to skew the numbers. It's going to dwarf your conversion rate. It's going to cause a problem. What you should be doing and what I'd be doing is set up Google Search Console. Or ask your agency if they've got it. So you can even do it yourself. Your agency would almost certainly have it set up. And you can just Google it. So go Google Search Console, get it set up. You just have to verify your website if it's not already done. And then you can go into the performance section of this and it will tell you how people are finding your website. And what you'll want to do is look for your products. So go find your product, go into the pages section and look for your products and look for the categories of your products and then click into each of those and then click queries. I appreciate I'm telling you quite a few things here, but click queries and that will tell you how people are finding the products and the categories. That's where you're going to find the gold rather than all of the other random topics and posts, which are going to be completely irrelevant. And it'll be those keywords that is how I would go, okay, that's how people are searching. They are searching for this and that and the other. Right, I'm now going to make sure the website is as optimized around those terms. I'm going to create content that is tapping into the questions people are searching are related around those topics. And then from a Google Ads perspective, I'm going to make sure my shopping feed and my ads are targeted very specifically to those nuanced search terms of how people look for our product.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think there's a couple of things there. So you got to set up Search Console. That is an absolute must. I think I would be going back to the agency and almost not playing dumb, but just kind of going, right, explain what you're doing. Explain what we're bidding on, why we're doing it the way we're doing it, how we're doing it. What do they see as the potential as the problems, as the opportunities. Like, get them to explain it and not baffle you with science, but just actually just say, explain it in layman's terms. What's going on here? Because I want to grow this business. I need to grow this business. We're only spending on average 500 quid a month on Google ads. That's a problem for us. But what is the return we're getting? Ask them, say, right, what is the return, the reported return that we're seeing over the last 6 to 12 months? And then I would be overlaying what they're telling you with the Shopify data. So when they say, oh, well, last month you spent, whatever, you spent 700 quid, you got, two and a half back. That's like 3-4 times return, whatever it is. You need to then look at your Shopify and go, okay, so Google Ads is telling me that it generated 2.5K of revenue. Well, our total revenue, let's say, was 5. So, right, half of our revenue is being attributed to Google. Where's the other half coming from? And then, okay, the other half's coming from organic or referrals or recommendation, or maybe it's coming from Meta. And you need to build a picture of where your revenue is coming from right now. So you go, okay, I've got half my traffic and my revenues come from this channel, 20% is coming from this channel, 10% from this channel. You build up that picture, and then you look at each of those channels and platforms and say, well, what am I investing into those platforms? And what is the potential? And what else could I be doing? And you could just reverse engineer it and figure out exactly what you should be doing. And then you start to dial it up. And then you keep an eye on it. And then incrementally, you can just push and push and push.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Yeah. Thank you.
There's quite a bit. There's quite a bit of homework here. But these are the things that if this was my bit, this is what I would be doing. And I think that kind of, because your questions, if I just go back to your questions, we've talked about Google, but the same with Meta. I would be using Meta, great for you in terms of it's very visual. You've got a very visual product. It's very easy to visually demonstrate what it is and how it works. So Meta would be great. And mate, you're going to need creative. I'd be little short videos that don't need to be hugely polished, but something that get the USPs across. And then retargeting with Meta. Amazing. For anyone that comes on the website, and then using those audiences to learn and to reinforce to Meta, this is a customer, this is who's buying, this is the demographic, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, you must know your customer avatar, right? You know who buys the product.
Yes.
In terms of like age, gender, all of that stuff. You have a good sense of who that customer avatar is?
Yes. Are you asking me this? Yes, it would be generally women around 40 years old.
There you go. So you can layer that in, right? So you can build your audiences and you prerequisite it to that. Then are you doing retargeting within Meta?
No, not as right now.
So that is an absolute no-brainer as well, because because again, thinking about most people are not going to buy on the first interaction with the website. So they might Google it, they might search it, they might land on your website. Most people are not going to buy there and then. So what you're going to want to do is set up, and Meta is amazing for retargeting because it allows you to keep your brand top of mind with your customer. So if you layer in and go, right, it's females age 35 plus, et cetera, and then you layer in some interest in, they regularly buy online, you layer all those interests in, and then you overlay on top of that, or have as a separate ad group or ad set the retail, or even a separate campaign, but the retargeting, it's a way of keeping your brand top of mind, but for only that audience. And you could show them different creative, different calls to action, different messaging. And the great thing is, if it's only retargeting, you spend pennies on it. You don't need to spend a huge amount. So retargeting is absolutely key. Are you? Well, I would assume you're not. But have you got an email? Are you collecting data? Are you collecting people's email addresses?
Yes, we are.
You're getting that information in a GDPR compliant way, right?
Yes, of course.
Fine, great. So that information, are we taking that and uploading that into Meta?
No, we are not.
Definitely do that, because that is another way. Okay. Because you can then, you take that data, you can plug that into Meta. All of those people that are on your email list that maybe previously bought for you or registered or whatever, you can then show them ads as well. Say, hey, this is us. This is our new products. This is what we're doing. We're running a special offer. We've got this. We've got that. We're doing this. We're doing that. So definitely do that. If you get the Google Ads tag, it means you can do the same retargeting on Google as well as Meta. Okay. So this is the whole exercise where you can do this, and this is about keeping the brand in your customer's mind, over a period of time. And this is how you're going to win. This is how you're going to grow this business, is better understand what you're spending and where it's going and what's working and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's use your so there's that one on. It's better understand the paid data, which I would go to your agency and say, right, this is what's going on. Talk me through it. Get them to explain it. And keep asking why.
Mm-hmm.
I would then look at Google search, get Google's search console set up. I'd look at that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would then go through it and look at just how much of your traffic you're getting, which is completely irrelevant. And I would do a massive content cull, if this was my business, of everything that's irrelevant, just so that Google knows I want to be famous for bath mats. Like that's your niche. And I love a product that's a niche within a niche. So you've got bathrooms a niche, like if this was my brand, I would go, I want to be the most famous bath mat brand in the world. And I would want to own that space because everyone in the land has bath mats in their house. And you've got your unique ones with the stone. It's beautiful. That's what you want to be famous for. So that's what I would make the content strategy built around. And I'd use GSC to inform that.
Mm-hmm.
On the meta side, I would then go to, I would look at retargeting, upload your email list. I'd put live the Google Ads tag, all of those things. There's quite a bit for you to do.
That's good.
Am I making sense? Because I appreciate I'm just throwing a lot of things at you to do.
No, for sure. Yeah, it's making sense. So, from a blog perspective, do you think like we should just like get rid of everything else that has to do with sustainability, even if it's such a core part of our brand? Is that what you're saying?
It's not that if it's part of the brand, I think I would be absolutely talking about the sustainability piece, right? Because I think that is really important. It's part of the vision. It's part of who you are. It's part of what you believe in and, are passionate about. So I do absolutely think, but is it the right place to have it in a blog? I'm not sure.
Okay.
Because what I think you do, I would make it a part, you got the About Us section, right? And our pledge. Yeah, so you've got all this, which is beautiful. So love this. This is absolutely spot on. So I would be making it, I would be talking about the sustainability, which you kind of do in our pledge and the About Us section. So what is the purpose of the pieces of content that talk about sustainability in the blog? What is the purpose of them?
I mean, to drive traffic.
But why? If the purpose, do you see what I mean? That's why it's fundamentally flawed.
No, I hear you.
Because if the purpose is to drive traffic, why? Because if that traffic is someone looking for something to do with sustainability, but it's a million miles away from then making the link from I'm looking about this topic of sustainability for whatever reason to then, I've landed on a website whose company also believes in this and great, fine. Oh, but they sell bath mats. It's so polar, so many worlds away from being relevant to ever adding any value to your website. And what ends up happening is you end up lifting the visibility of a brand, but just from a pure vanity perspective. So anyone reporting on metrics, you go, well, we're getting loads of traffic. Isn't this great? But who cares? Because it's not converting. Okay. And what it's going to be doing, it will be harming your visibility overall, because Google is going to look at that and go, Google is basically just not going to have a clue what you want to rank for. Because Google is going to look at this business, at this website and go, right, they sell bath mats and towels. Lovely. Okay, great. They're talking about sustainability. Great. Love that. That makes sense. But then it arrives on your blog and it then goes, right, well, hang about. I've got a design 101, this, that, and the other. I've got some content talking about bath mats and towels, but then I've got some content talking about wildfires and talking about all sorts of topics, which it kind of goes, well, hang about. And now it's confused again. Yeah. So but you go and don't just go and wholesale cull everything. I want you to look into everything and just go and reverse engineer in GSC and actually look at everything. And then if you do get rid of the pages, what you're going to want to do is 301 redirect them. And I've done over the years many content consolidations, and I'm not telling you to do it. My job is not to. My job is to give you my opinion, my perspective. I'm not going to tell you what to do with the business, but if you do that, what are you going to see, right? If the traffic is completely irrelevant to sales, you're not going to see a drop in sales. You're just going to see a drop in traffic. But who cares? I don't want traffic for the sake of like vanity traffic. I want relevant traffic. Yeah,
for sure.
And I think that's how you then. So I think those things we've combined as well. I think that's ultimately how you grow this business. You also mentioned throughout the application quite a few about international and wanted to do that. And we sort of said at the beginning, like, it's kind of walk before you run. Is that just the long-term vision of the build? We just want to build this up into a really big thing? Because I think we need to nail the homepage first.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that we feel the same way. We want to do the UK first before we expand. I guess the background information behind that is that we are in the process of setting up a warehouse in the US right now, because we have been seeing a huge amount of traffic coming from the US, and we also have been noticing an opportunity for that because our US orders tend to be of much, much higher average order value than our UK
Okay.
orders. And so we've decided to explore this. And by having a warehouse there, shipping costs can be reduced also both for us and for the customers. And so we want to nail that as well and understand sort of how to be able to bring forward both the Google ads and the meta ads
Yeah.
now, both from the UK and the US. But absolutely, we very much want to do what we do first well, and then
Yeah, sure.
move
Yeah,
to other
you need
places.
to focus on the
Yeah,
UK
yeah,
patch, because I think with the things we've covered there, there's 3 or 4 things there that you can take away. There's massive scope. I would say you've barely scratched the surface of this in
yeah.
terms of the potential here, and I think you need to start with the end in mind. As I always say, is think of this business in 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. What does this business look like in terms of revenue? And then you reverse engineer that back, and then you're going to have to speculate into your marketing. You're going to have to invest more in it, and you just need to think realistically, because even spending, if you're spending £900 on ads, that's only £30 a day. It's not very much. And and again, another big question to go to your Google Ads, what is your average CPC, your cost per click? Because if you're only spending £900, so £30 a day, and your average cost per click is, £1, that means you're getting no more than 30 clicks in a
It's about
day.
50 cents. It's about 50 cents.
It's about 50. Okay, fine. So,
Yeah.
but even with that, what you've got to look at is, making sure the quality of the traffic is relevant and so on, because it still only means on average, you're probably only going to get 40, 50, or so clicks a day, which is not a huge amount if you're trying to then get the sales, because out of 50 clicks, if you 50 clicks, if you made one sale out of 50 clicks, I would be surprised. It probably means what's your average order value? Do you know? Did you tell me this?
Yes, it's £42.
40. Yeah, you said about just over 40. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you making sales every day, or do you have some days where you're not making any sales?
It happens that we have some days that we don't make any sales, but we at least make 1 or 2
Yeah,
usually
fine.
every day.
But
Yeah.
I just think this comes down to the levels of spend, because if you're only getting, depending on your spend, you're going to be having days where I mean, look at the data. Again, this is your data. I'm doing this blind. I've not seen any of your data, but your data will tell you absolutely everything that you need to do with this business from a paid perspective, paid search, paid social, and organic. It will tell you, it will build a full picture. And if you're not an expert in it, then you need to go to your agency and ask these questions. Say, look, I'm not an expert, but I need you to tell me and upskill me on what we're spending, how we're spending it, where we're spending it, what we could be spending, what we should be spending, where we should be spending it. What is, how much is it costing me to acquire a customer? How much is it costing me to get a click? What is the ratio of the amount of people that from the clicks we get that we're paying for, how many of them convert? You see your 1.5 to 2%, but that's what you've reported. But from an ad account specifically, what is your conversion rate? And is it better shopping versus performance max? And within that, is there a certain type of product that is better than the others? And you said your best seller is the stone. So it's like, okay, how much more of a bestseller is that? If that's like night and day difference, then again, maybe the question is, well, actually, should we put the limited marketing budget we have all into this one particular stone or one particular color, because that's the one that is head and shoulders above everyone else?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. All of that, but everything I've covered there, it sounds like a lot, and you could be able to listen to this back and watch this back when the episode comes out. But every single thing there that I've just covered, your data would be able to tell you in under an hour of just going through it and looking through it. Or you could find all of that out, and it will give you a massive steer on where you need to go and what sort of the next steps you need to make.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has this been useful, Emma? Have you sort of, I can hear you sort of making notes. Have you made some
I am.
scribbles and?
Yeah, no, I am taking notes. No, that this is useful, yes. And like I do have we do have a lot of this data as well. But yeah, it's definitely the
Yeah,
way that this money is managed and spent is not in our hands, so definitely
yeah.
worth asking those
I think
questions.
you need to just go and book some time in with your agency, sit down with them and just get all of this out. You can't beat getting out and just on a table and just sitting around a table and just thrashing out and go, right, let's just talk numbers. Let's talk mechanics. Let's talk how this business is actually working, what we could and should be doing, all of that. Like that, we do that with all of our clients. It is such, we do it on a regular basis. It's just such a useful exercise to just get everyone aligned and seeing a clear vision. Because, as I say all the time, you don't get in your car and start driving if you don't have a destination in mind. So,
Mhm.
it's like, from a marketing perspective, it becomes infinitely easier if we know what we're trying to achieve and we know what's working, because then we can just make far more informed decisions about where we're going to go.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah?
for
Well,
sure.
look, I wish you every success with it. Did you have any other questions? Is there anything else you'd like to sort of
Uh,
know or ask before we
I
skedaddle
mean,
off?
yeah, actually, just regarding the meta ads more specifically. You mentioned the retargeting and the uploading the email list, which is very
Yeah.
useful advice. But something that you were saying also at the beginning of the call is the spreading ourselves maybe a little bit too thin, and how much we can do with the budget that we are currently allocating towards meta ads, which is about £30 per day. So practically, do you think that it makes sense to run more campaigns, or would that be a waste of the budget or a not proper way to
It's
use
hard.
it?
It's impossible to say without seeing the
Okay.
data. I would,
Yeah.
I would look at. I would fundamentally think of it differently. So I would, first of all, what I would do if you literally said to me, right, Aaron, you run this business today. What I would do is I would sit down with whoever else, any other stakeholders involved, and I'd say, right, what are we trying to build here? What does this business want to look like over the next 5 years? So you start with that and you work out what the business is look and feel like in terms of turnover, profitability, etc., etc. That's where I would start. Then, once I've got that clear in my mind, because then I'd go, right, that's the 5-year plan. What does it look in 3 years? What does it look in 2 years? What does it look in 1 year? And I'd work it back from there. Once I've
Mhm.
got that nailed down and we're all playing out, yeah, that's the plan. Then what I'd be doing is I would be then doing a deep dive into all of the marketing spend that we've currently spent. So I'd look at the last year or two and I'd be going, right, what are we spending and where are we spending it and what type of return are we getting? So how much did we spend in the last year on Google? How much did we spend on Meta? What was the reported return? And I'd be looking at all of the different channel data. And then I'd be looking at the overall and be going, okay, overall trajectory, we're currently doing 50, 60, 100 grand, whatever it is. And then I'd be going, right, next year, we need to double that. We need to go to here. Then I'd be looking at where do I get the best return? I'd be looking at the opportunities within both those and what quick wins are there, like with Meta. Oh, if we should retargeting, that makes common sense because I can keep the brand top of mind. With Google, I can see shopping is well outperforming Performance Max. I'm going to go there. And so I would be led by the data to tell me where's the best place to spend the budget. And then I would start with the budget that you've been spending, but I would know based on where I want to take the business what the
Mhm.
budget needs to look like that I should be investing.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. So
Yeah,
rather
that's
than
the way I would approach this.
Yeah, so rather than understand what we can do with this budget, is figuring out also what is the budget that we
What
need to
should be the
go.
budget? Because otherwise,
Yeah.
you're just literally plucking numbers out of the sky, going, "Well, we've just got £1,500 a month," and I hear,
Mhm.
and Emma, this is not a criticism of you guys at all, because I
No,
hear
for
this all the
sure.
time. Right?
Yeah.
Is people always come to us, they always inquire, with us to work with us, and they say, they always put on the initial inquiry, we say, "What's your marketing budget?" Right? We ask that on the contact page on our website. If you want to get in touch to work with us, people get in touch, and we have brackets, and we say, "What is your budget between 1 and 5,000, 5,000, 10,000?" And they will select an option.
Mhm.
First question we'll ask, or one of the first questions we'll ask, is how did you arrive at that budget? And
Mhm.
I would say 8 to 9 times out of 10, they cannot give me a concrete reason for how that budget has been arrived at. It's just, well, that's what we've spent just consistently for the last 2 or 3 years, or, oh, that's just what was signed off, or that's this, or that's that, or that's just what we feel comfortable with. But actually, then when you look at it differently, you go, well, hold on. What are we trying to achieve? What are we trying to build? What reliance does our business have on paid media? What role does paid search, Google ads, Meta ads play in our business? Then we can start to work out, and what's the return? So what do we put in for every pound we put in? How many pounds do we get back out? What is the overall role it plays in our business? We can then start to work out what the budget should be. It doesn't mean that you have to suddenly go from spending £800, oh, suddenly we need to spend 10 grand on ads, because that's not realistic.
Yeah.
But at least you know where you need to get it to. And you can go, well, of the £800 we've got now, because I've done my deep dive into Google, into this, and I've analyzed the data, I now know that the best way I can spend that data is in this area. And so, for example, if you go through this exercise, it might be that you go through this, you go, right, I know where we need to take the business. I've looked at the data. And this is what we're so lucky. You, me, everyone watching this, everyone listening to it. We are so lucky if you do online and digital and paid media and digital marketing, because we have masses of data. We are so privileged to have so much data at our disposal. We just need to know how to analyze it. And then the world's our oyster. We're so lucky. There is no excuse for it just to go, well, we're just kind of guessing. It's all there. It just needs to be reviewed, analyzed, and understood. And so what you might find is you go through this process and you actually then see that, okay, right, I can see that I'm getting the best return with shopping. So I'm going to cull shop Performance Max. It's within shopping. Within shopping, I can see that my best performing 5 products are these colorways, these sizes, these types. So I'm going to focus all of my Google ad budget here, or 80% of my budget, onto shopping specifically, and specifically these products. I can see in Meta, this has worked, this hasn't. I'm going to get rid of what hasn't worked. And within Meta, I know that their common sense dictates, even though I haven't done it, that if I upload my customer list, if I do retargeting to keep my brand top of mind, and I know I'm catching people, then they're actively searching, that's going to do a better job of driving sales. And then so you attribute your budget in the best possible way, and then you run it for 90 days. And you say, well, I'm going to run it for 90 days on the current budget, and we're going to see what works. And if we see even a modest uptick, then we know we're on the right path. And then we can incrementally start increasing the budget. And then we see what happens in line with it. But you've based that on doing a deep dive analysis of what works. So you're not just throwing good money after bad, or you're not just throwing things in a bit of a hit and hope, which is so often the case.
For sure. Yeah, I hear you. That makes complete sense. Yes. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Good. Well, look, I hope you've found this useful. Take that stuff, go ask those questions. If you get stuck, if you hit a brick wall, give me a shout and I will happily sort of try and help you. If you can get GSC and you need a couple of pointers, just I'm here, right? Everyone that comes on the pod, I always say, just if you need a bit of hand, need a helping hand, just sort of on your way, just let me know. I'm here to be a sort of a bit of a sounding board. So you've got my email and you can ping me if you have any questions. Yeah.
Awesome. Yes, we'll do. Thank you so much again for your time.
And thank you so much for being on. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've loved having you on. And the very best of luck taking this business to the next level. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Well, there you go. That was Emma. That was that was a good one. That I enjoyed that.
Very good.
That was well, sometimes we just need to go back to basics, and we just need to. Absolutely. And how often do we have people on the pod, prospects, where they're just spreading themselves too thin? They're trying to do everything, and they're just trying to not. And it's always the way, Emma is clearly, she's a smart cookie. She knows what she's doing. But sometimes you just can't see the wood for the trees, and you actually just need to break it down. Yeah. It's so easy. And I just know, I know there's going to be so many people watching this, listen to it, oh, that's interesting. But that we're guilty of the same thing of going, well, I've got a budget. I spend $2,000 a month on ads. And it's like, but when was the last time you broke that down? And you actually looked at what's working, where am I getting the best return? Rather than just looking at it, it's all too easy to go, it's marketing budget. Yeah. And I'm just doing Google ads. I'm just doing Google ads. I'm doing Meta ads. I do that. We see it all the time. We do. It's like a case of go, but hold on. Meta ads will work better, and as will Google, as will any platform, and not just the online stuff, but the more you analyze it, look into it. Peel back the curtain, look inside the box and go, okay, well, actually, what is and what isn't, and where am I getting the best? And then and as I said, that's the thing, and that's what I love about what we do, is the fact that it's all there. And so when I'm like, pitching to a prospect, or when I'm talking to a prospect, I prefer conversations over presentations. But whenever I'm talking to a prospect, I do exactly this. Every single client we ever win, I insist on reviewing the data. We don't do tenders. We don't do, just send us the deck. And we don't do, we say, if you want to work with us, give us access to your data and talk to us about your business, where you are, the past, the present, the plan.
Yeah.
And then we will go and do a deep dive for hours on end to understand the data, because then we can come back to you and we can report and we can say, right, you've told us this. The business has told us, the data, has told us this. Fundamentally, yeah, you're all in line, right, great, we've got a plan. Or actually, there's a massive disconnect here. And actually, you think this, but the data's saying this. Therefore, actually, we need to have a conversation and agree a plan. And then if we can agree a plan and go, oh, yeah, we do want to do it. Or I never knew that about the data. I had no idea this was performing like this. Or I had no idea this was doing better. Or we were wasting all of our money here. Then you've got a foundation on which to build. And that's when we go, right, now we'll work together. Now we'll support you and we'll drive that forward with that expertise.
Absolutely. The thing is, like, you could be spending thousands on Google and spending it all wrong, but Google will just keep taking it.
Of course it will. It's conversion hungry, and we see it all the time. We won a client a couple of months ago. I'm not going to name them, but we won a client, e-commerce brand, and I looked at their data, and they had spent in last year, 2024, they had spent over 150 grand on Google ads, and they had an agency spending this, right? They spent just over 151,000. I know the numbers because I worked them inside and out. They spent just over 150 grand on Google ads across from January 1st to the end of December 2024, right? I looked at their data just recently, and I basically did all that. I got the business, okay, what, why, how, da-da-da. Then I looked at their data, and fundamentally, 1/3 of their data had been completely misspent. It just had generated no return. It was over 50 grand. And so I was able to go back to them and literally show them the data, because I'd analysed it, and I'd gone in and gone, basically £50,000 of your 150 had gone on products and categories, because it was e-com, that just generated you absolutely no return.
Yeah.
Whereas the other 100 had got you a whacking great return that was many multiples, and it was actually doing. So, but it was where the previous agency, because it's now our client, the previous agency were basically just spending their budget across everything. And it was like, fine, but what I was doing is dragging down the account average. And that's where the conversation started. It was like, we want to get the account average up. We want to get the ROAS up. We want to get the return up. And so I looked at it and went, well, let's just fundamentally zoom out, look at the big picture. Where are we spending? And you could see, right, well, there's all these categories here, dozens delivering money hand over foot. Great. But then there was all these other ones. So I'm like, well, why are we spending money on all of these? They were not returning at all, or getting a 1-2 ROAS.
Sure.
And when you totted all of those up, it was 1/3 of their budget. Wow. So now, and this is what I mean about you don't always need to spend. Because now to grow the business, what we need to do, we don't need, and we haven't asked that client for any more ad budget.
Yeah.
Right? We don't need it because we've already got an extra 50 grand without asking them for a penny more.
Oh.
So we've said to them, right, and they've said, well, do we need to spend more to make more? And I'm like, no, not right now. Maybe in 6 months we'll come back to you and say, right, this is working. But fundamentally, we've just found 50 grand being spent in the wrong blooming places. Wow. So it's like, we'll just take that and we'll make it work harder.
Raise the budget by 33%.
Yeah, and what's happened is they've already seen it. We've got emails where they've turned back and gone, this is amazing. Like, we're seeing this because because we're spending the money in the most efficient way. Wow. Makes sense, doesn't it? There you go. Anyway, right. I think that's going to do us. That is, hopefully you've enjoyed this one like we have. We wish Emma well. I think it's a nice business. Do check them out. Misona, misona.co.uk. And if you haven't already, well, leave us a review. If you found, you know what, I'm a small business as well, and I found this super useful, and I'm loving this, and I'm also loving Aaron's shirt. Then leave us a review. I'd really appreciate it. I think we're going to leave it there and say thank you so much. Do remember to subscribe and like and comment and all of that lovely stuff that we really appreciate, and we're terrible for asking people to do.
But we're on that 1,000 subscriber creep.
That very slow creep. We're about mid 500s now as I look at it. But yes, we're going to leave it there for no other reason that tonight I'm off out to the cinema, to the theatre. Ooh. Very cultured.
Is that why you're wearing a shirt?
No, I'm about to put a jumper on. But yes, thank you so much from Darren, from myself. We'll see you soon. Take care.